stuffed him. He stuffed him. He stuffed him. Nice block. Wow. Great penetration. Surge through the middle of that. Michigan State first and goal. Yeah. Outstanding play.
A reporter once asked, does Tom Izzo have what it takes to win at Michigan State? 27 years later, 23 tournament appearances, 10 Big Ten regular season titles, 6 Big Ten tournament championships, 8 Final Fours, a national championship, and the most overall wins at a Big Ten school. I think it's safe to say he does. Now, was it easy? Oh, no. See, it took a lot to get to the top of that mountain. And it started with vision, commitment, sacrifice, discipline, work ethic. Now, I don't know about your coach, but let me tell you about mine. I can guarantee you one thing. He's willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. Now, if you played for Coach Izzo, you never had a problem being held accountable because you know the person that was holding you accountable loved you to the moon and back. Coach, we know you love us, and we love you back. Now, Spartan Nation, the time has come. I want you to stand up and stand up tall because Coach Izzo has the most overall wins at a Big Ten school.
I got to stand up here. Got to do it. Got to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Inside the Locker Room. You are with your co-host, Brian Mosallam, along with my co-host, the Honorable Jason Strayhorn, and a festive Wednesday. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, Brian. How are you?
I'm
Looking
fantastic.
Great in black. Got my green on. Everybody's very festive. Happy about the 663. That is the overall win total now for one Tom Izzo, Michigan State being the all-time Big Ten leader, passing Bobby Knight. Exciting stuff.
You know, do you think people understand what an amazing milestone that is?
You know, I do. I think when you look at who Bobby Knight, even if you weren't born back then, you know the name.
I wasn't.
Means something historical. Means something great. Yeah, right. You weren't born. You know, I think you went out drinking with Bobby Knight back in the day on your visit.
I just threw
to
chairs.
University.
That's it.
I mean, with guys like that, I mean, he's up there. When you talk about Bobby Knight from a football perspective, that's like a Joe Paterno. This is Bo Schembechler. These are those iconic names in the Big Ten coaching world that now Tom Izzo sits at the top of. What more can you say about a guy, 27 years? Mateen said it best, and I can't wait to talk to him later on in this show about what it means for Tom Izzo to be there, for everybody to be proud. And I think it's an awesome time for Spartans worldwide as Tom Izzo now does become the all-time winningest coach in Big Ten history.
You know, I think we're all spoiled. We take them for granted. We expect 20-plus wins. We expect a deep run in the tournament. And, you know, there are just things you never know if they're ever going to be repeated. And it's amazing that a legend at our university who's taken Michigan State to the next level and really one of the blue bloods in college basketball. And it's just a great accomplishment. And knowing Coach Izzo, he won't appreciate it, reflect on it until he's all done. But wow, kudos to him, and what a tremendous legacy and program that he's built. And quite frankly, he's only worried about Maryland. I mean, that's the next game. Knowing Coach and what he's done, it's absolutely remarkable. And all the young men that he's impacted, and how many former players return to see him and appreciate all those lessons they learned, all the tough lessons they learned, and how they come back later on and then they thank him for it because he taught them life lessons. And you got to marvel at, will we ever see another Tom Izzo at Michigan State again?
You look at him right there. There's been times when you've caught him, and definitely after this last game, tearing up. Tom Izzo is one of those guys. I know my grandfather used to say, the very same thing that'll make you laugh will make you cry. Now, when you look at Tom Izzo and the fiery passion that he has for the game, you always see him being very, there's a lot of gregarious attitude on the sideline. There's a lot of fire with the officials and his own players and his own coaches, and opposing players, as we talked about on this show. You can't have that without having a deep desire and caring for those same individuals. And I'm talking about a deep love. With those fiery comments and those behavior patterns comes a lot of love, and you see that in Tom Izzo. And when you see them hug the players, when they do the iconic kiss the floor at the end, and who can forget when he's cutting down the ropes in Indianapolis when he won his national championship. God willing, he can win another one of those, Brian. And Tom Izzo is just an embodiment of what it is to be a true coach and really care deeply about his players. I don't know if they'll make him like that anymore with the way college athletics are going. He's one of those iconic guys, more of a dying breed, if you will, in the way that he conducted himself on the court. But, hey, we still got a lot of meat left on that tire, a lot of meat left on the bone. I think he's got some wins left in him, and we'll see what happens in the Big Ten tournament this year.
But it's interesting the way college basketball's progressed and the way this younger generation expects to be treated, handled, the way you interact with players. And, when you watch him on TV, he's very demonstrative. He gets into players' faces. He's very matter-of-fact about things. He doesn't hide his emotions. But there's one thing that everybody should pay attention to, is that every former player comes back. Every one of them loves him to death and will defend him to the dying death. And I think that speaks volumes about how much he means to them, how much he's influenced their life. And while in that short snippet on TV, you might watch something, you're like, what is he, what's going on? The love and admiration he has from former players is, I'm not sure you're going to see that going forward in this transactional world that we live in now. And he's got former players, from NBA All-Stars to Hall of Famers to, you name it, that will absolutely die for him. And that speaks volumes to his loyalty, to what he's taught them, to the character. And, will that survive the next generation? I mean, will they think the way you and I think about George Perlis, about Nick Saban, about all the lessons that he taught us? They both taught us. And that'll, time will tell. But I do know one thing, that the former players that have played for him, that NBA, present, past, or whatever, all know that Tom Izzo has been like a father figure and love him to death dearly, because they know how much he cares about them, and they know how loyal he is and how much he has their back. And sometimes loyalty, having your back, all those things, you can't really measure in the eye of the public, but it's there. It's there, and it's part of the Spartan culture. And, God, we love Coach. We love him to death.
Yeah. We all love him. He's definitely he embodies all those things you just said, Brian. He's a loyal guy. He does things for guys that never get spoken about. He does things for guys, former players, that never get written about. He is just a special human being, a special coach, and everybody who signs up to play with Tom Izzo knows exactly what they're getting. They know. They want to be coached hard. That's what it takes for people. He's not the same in how they respond to pressure. And guys that literally sign up to come to East Lansing to play basketball know that, hey, Coach, I want you to hold me accountable. That what you see is what you get on that court. You're going to know. So will definitely hold you accountable day in and day out to be a better version of you. He doesn't accept you as who you are, for who you are. He looks at you and accepts you for what you can be and does everything to get you there. And it's a process. So, yeah, Tom Izzo, hats off to you and your family. Congratulations on the 663rd win, and looking for many more in the future from Michigan State basketball.
So we played Maryland, and which was a very fitting senior day. I thought it was fitting that win would he'd capture the win here at home to become the Big Ten winningest coach in Big Ten history, and to be able to do that on senior day in front of the home crowd, I thought was very special. I thought the kids, the young men showed energy. They came to play. We jumped out to a big start. We kind of gave some of it back, and then we kind of pulled away at the end. Obviously, you and I both believe that the keys, and as any Izzo team, is best led by his veterans and seniors. And if we can get that third guy to be able to kick in and to make some plays, I think we're going to be this. Look, this team has a chance to beat anybody or lose anybody. And as Coach said in his recent press conference, there's no more my bads. You're one and done. You're one and done in Indy, and then you're going to be one and done in the tourney. And it's that time of the year. It's the month of Izzo, and everybody around East Lansing has been pretty spoiled and acclimated to making a deep run, which we expect. I mean, he's had teams that are, for lack of a better term, worse, make a deeper run. He has a lot of talent on this team, and he has a couple seniors and veterans and Hauser and Brown and Bingham Jr. that so goes this team, so goes the tournament chances. And we'll see. We'll see what happens, because in a one-and-done environment, as Coach always said, you get me the first win, I'll get you ready for the second.
And speaking of those scenes you talked about right there, let's move on into that. Let's talk about those guys. It was senior day. Those guys were able to go out with their parents and kiss the floor, Brian. What do you think about them in the in the COVID era? Those guys have the ability to come back for more playing time, right? What do you think about those chances?
I mean, look, senior day is one of the all-time great traditions in all of college basketball. Started by Sean Rosbert, and it's just great to see that. I would love to see some of them back, really all three of them back, in this COVID era. I think, Joey Hauser would be a great addition to keep. I'd love Marcus Bingham Jr. to come back. I'd love Gabe Brown to come back. I'm not sure how many of them will. I just think, if they're coming out for senior day, kissing the court, I'm not sure how many of them will actually come back. But I think the tradition of it and the way that it was set from Sean Resper on to Mateen, who will join us later, is one of the all-time great traditions in all of college basketball. And so it's just something that we're going to see unfold, and we'll see how that falls. I know we got 2 scholarships left to give out. I know that we're looking at a couple kids in a portal. I know we got a couple kids coming in. And so we'll see how that progresses. But when you go back and you look at Izzo's accomplishments, right, when you talk about what Coach has done over his 27 years, I don't know if we have that graphic. It's actually remarkable. I mean, he's won a national championship. He's been a runner-up. He's had, 34 straight? Or every year he's been on, is that 34 or 24? I can't read this graph. 24 straight.
It says 34, but this is for the whole. This is like Big Ten history for Michigan State. But,
yeah, I mean, he's had every year he's had like 24, I believe, NCAA tournament appearances. He's had this is total Michigan State. He's had 8 Final Fours. He's had many Elite Eights and Sweet 16s and multiple Big Ten championship tournaments and Big Ten outright championships. And You know, the whole narrative when I hear Izzo's washed up, I crack up because in 19 he won a Big Ten title, went to the Final Four, and 2020 they won the Big Ten title, and he was poised to make a run before COVID. 18 won a Big Ten championship. So this narrative that Izzo was washed up just cracks me up. It just absolutely cracks me up. He has the goods. He knows what it takes, and I have never met a coach more maniacal, more relentless, more matter of fact, just absolutely obsessed with getting this thing right. So when the month of March rolls around, do not count Tom Izzo out. Not at all.
You just can't. You can't. And everybody likes to say that, I know he won the national title in 2000, excuse me. There are some that say if, Cassius Winston and that crew weren't held back by COVID, they were on a hot streak and probably could have won it and should have won it in 2020. But unfortunately, those guys didn't even get a chance to play a game in the tournament after losing in the Final Four, I believe, in 2019. So, yeah, this is a guy who has had recent success, not prehistoric success, very recent success in Tom Izzo, and now it's just reloading. He has a lot of talent on this team, and leadership is just now starting to gel. As you said, I think the seniors that we named, you talk about Hauser and Gay Brown and Bingham Jr., those guys are just now starting to come into their own. If you could have them for one more season, I just don't see the harm in that. He has a casual and an internal fan, Michigan State. I think that would serve the program very, very good to have those guys come back and play one more time under the tutelage of Tom Izzo and fill up the rest of those roster spots and continue to improve from here on. But we got a big March to talk about.
How many of those guys do you see coming back, Jason? What do your sources tell you? Anybody? Do you have any inside information for us?
No inside information today. But from what I can see, just personally, I think they all should. Why not? What's the problem? Gay Brown is a guy that may want to try to sniff the NBA, but he's not ready. Let's be honest about it. He's not ready for the NBA. Bingham is a guy who's got the ability, he's got the length, but they want to see him get stronger. They do. They want to see him be able to bang down low. I mean, he loves the jump shot on the outside perimeter, which is what the big men do nowadays in the NBA game. But when you've seen him go against that elite talent in the Big Ten, which does have a lot of big-time players that are going to be drafted in the first round in that low post position, he struggled a little bit, especially on the defensive end. So it would serve him better to come back and not get buried in the draft, being drafted 58th or something like that in the draft, to come back and improve his game, work on his body some more, to gain weight. He's just starting to get on that lineman program. He's getting off of the Mosallam program, getting on the Strayhorn program, and he'll get there, put on that weight that he needs to, and he'll be able to perform in Big Ten play like he needs to and have a chance to be drafted and provide for his family.
Oh, there's no question. If he gets on that Strayhorn program, he'll be 380. By next year, he'll be just fine. No question. He'll be able to take on Ivan Drago over at Purdue, Edie, and
Drago. I mean, he's a cross between Yao Ming and who was the other? Yeah, Ivan Drago. Is that what you said?
Ivan Drago. Yeah.
Yeah, those two. Yeah.
Oh, and listen, if he gets on a Strayhorn program, he'll be playing for Mel. We need a right tackle. So, but there's no question. I mean, look, it all depends. Do you want another year in the program? Do you want to perfect your game? Do you think you're ready to go to the league? Are you ready to go play overseas? It just really all depends and how much you want to, develop as a person. But I think the pieces are there to make a run. When you look at next year, you got both your guards coming back. You got a lot of talent just about everybody coming back. If you lose Bingham, you probably got to find a 5 in the portal, maybe a freshman. You need some guy underneath because I think we've struggled defensively underneath when we played a big guy, played somebody, in the 5 position. And so if we can get somebody over there that Joey Hauser's in guarding, we can do some damage. But we got 2 scholarships open. There's a lot of talent on this team. Some will argue we're a year away. We've heard that 100 times, though. We heard that in 15. We heard that in 2010. And you just never know within a Izzo team. I mean, you never know. You know, are they poised to make a run? Time will tell. Absolutely, time will tell. So when you look at the Big Ten bracket, we open up Thursday night with Maryland at 6:30, who we've beaten twice. And the old cliche goes that it's very hard to beat a team 3 times in a row.
The old what goes?
The old cliche goes
Well,
to
there we
beat a
go.
team
Gotcha.
3 times.
Okay.
Yeah, to beat a three times, which I think we can. I think we match up well against Wisconsin, and then Maryland, and then we play Wisconsin if we win. Listen, there's nobody that's unbeatable. There's nobody we can't beat, and there's nobody that can't beat us. So if you're going to ask me, it's a toss-up. You know, who we don't match up well against, basketball is all about matchups. I don't necessarily know if we match up well against Purdue or Illinois when they have big men in the middle, but this team is talented.
Just beat Purdue a couple of weeks ago.
We can beat them. You're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely can beat them.
Just beat them a couple of weeks ago, and you're right. You know, Coburn down. It's a collision course for Illinois if they make it out of the other bracket. But definitely a very attainable Big Ten championship bracket for Michigan State if they come in with the right mindset.
You know, we beat Wisconsin. We've beaten Purdue. We've had some struggles with Illinois, but it's one at a time. You never know. So if you're going to ask me about this Big Ten tourney, quite frankly, it's up for grabs. It's absolutely up for grabs. And if I have to push all my chips in a one-and-done environment, I'm taking a guy that's hung 8 banners in East Lansing.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, nobody's better at being able to prepare with little to no time preparation after you, like you said, survive in advance mode than Tom Izzo. It's unquestionable. Tom Izzo's that guy when it comes to survive in advance mode in tournament action. So
isn't he?
The coaching side's done. Oh yeah, he's that guy.
Absolutely.
He knows how to prepare.
So
no doubt about it.
You got the 6:30 game against Maryland, and if you win, you play the 6:30 game on a Friday. You got a 22-hour turnaround. Who would you rather have prepare you than Tom Izzo?
Yeah, no one.
No, nobody. Now, the question becomes, is there enough leaders on this team, enough alpha dogs? Are the upperclassmen going to take a leadership role? Because quite frankly, as Gabe Brown goes, so does this team. And then, you know, A.J. Hokart is a wild card. If A.J. plays with that dog and that intensity, we're a tough team to beat. And this is the best time of the year. In a one-and-done neutral court, it's where a coach flourishes. It's where the program flourishes, and should be fun. We'll see, right?
Can't wait, man. I mean, I'm tired of us talking about this thing. We need to bring on a pro.
It absolutely is exciting, and we're excited to go. Are you going to Indy, Jason?
No, I'm not going to be in Indy.
Hometown?
But yeah, I know. I'd love to be there at my hometown. Indianapolis is a special place for me. Not only the basketball, obviously I'm from there, but that's also the site where Michigan State won a national title in basketball. We've had several Final Fours there. It's a great town, but unfortunately not going to be able to make it. You know, family obligations elsewhere.
Were you at that national title game?
I was not. That's horrible.
You were not.
I was in Florida.
I was there. When we lost to Butler.
Were you sober?
Huh?
You went to the national championship game.
I did. Did you ask me if
said,
I was sober? Oh, yeah, I don't drink. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I love that. That's a beautiful answer, Brian.
I was there at the 2010 game when we lost to Butler. I was there in the 2014 game when we beat Michigan in the Big Ten tourney, which in my opinion was one of the best games we've ever been to because we lost twice to them. Then we finally got healthy and went to the Big Ten tournament and kicked their ass. I was there a few times. I know Indy like the back of my hand. Probably better than you do.
Right. No. You might know downtown Indy better than me, but you don't know Indianapolis better than me, brother. No way. No way. That's how you
two
be
Big
telling
Ten
you I know
football
Dearborn better than
championships.
you.
Huh? 2 Big Ten football championships.
I know Dearborn, but I don't know better than you, brother.
Better. Switching gears real quick. Mel Tucker in the portal. Landing.
That's right.
Big offensive lineman.
Got him an old lineman.
Washington State. What's his name, Jason?
Brian Green.
Brian
Number
Green.
50.
Huge
50.
pickup in the portal. Huge pickup.
Washington State.
Yep. Washington State.
Up out of there, one of them Cougars. Bring him on over here to East Lansing. They want to come here and get that natty. That's what he want to do.
You know, when you
I
look
don't
at
think it hurts having guys like Brian Allen, that's going to be around, showing them the ropes.
Oh yeah, Brian Green saw him in the Super Bowl and said, "Hey, I can, I can end up in the Super Bowl like Brian Allen did, or I can end up on the streets like Ryan Leaf did." And so, just sources tell me that was his philosophy.
Leaf. That was his.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf. Yeah.
Brian Allen or Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's what I heard. He doesn't know who Ryan Leaf is. He erased him from Cougar lore. He doesn't exist anymore over there.
Look, I'm just telling you what I heard. And then Mike Leach left a bad taste in his mouth. And so he figured, I'm going to come all the way from, is it Pullman? Where's Washington State?
Yeah, Pullman, yeah.
Coming over to East Lansing. And when you look at the offensive line, you got Horst at left tackle. You got Duplain, Samac, maybe Brian Green bumps one of those guys over to right guard. Probably got Spencer Brown maybe playing right tackle.
Yeah.
And the front five is shaping up to be pretty decent. The question becomes is the depth on the O-line and what happens if somebody tweaks an ankle or gets hurt. Because the kids, young men behind them, there's not much playing experience. But sometimes I think playing experience is overrated. Put them in there. It's football. Get them dressed. Get them ready to go. And by all accounts, I believe many within the organization say we have the talent to get some road graders, road some guys out there. But, you and I both know when you look at the 13, 14, 15 team, a lot of that predicated on the offensive line and being able to 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, get that first down in a hostile environment. It's all about the O-line up front. You went up front. You got to protect Peyton. And then you got that 1-2 punch in the backfield with Broussard and Berger. And then you got other backs that can help as well. K9's a generational player. He's once in a generation. I mean, it's not every day we're going to have a Walter Camp finalist, Walter Camp winner. And what's the other award he won? Doak Walker.
Doak Walker. I tell you.
I don't know when.
And ran that 4.38 too in the combine, by the way. Let's not forget that 4.38.
Think about that.
Our eyes weren't lying to us. The digital clock told you what it was. 4.38.
Think about that.
Fast.
We had a Doak Walker.
Fast.
Doak Walker and a Walter Camp winner in East Lansing out of the portal. Think about that. That is quite remarkable. And then
You're going to see a lot of that.
Say it again.
You're going to see a lot of that, in my opinion. You're going to see a lot of guys moving around and flourishing at their new spot. We're going to see that. Before, transfers were looked at as people who couldn't hack it, were, I don't know, they were second rate, if you will. Now it's free agency. And embracing it, like Mel Tucker is doing, is the way to go in this environment. This is no longer. Now let's keep this straight. There are casualties in this portal era. There are guys who leave for no reason that shouldn't leave, and they're not going to go to a comparable school. They're not going to get picked up. There's a ton of guys stuck that won't get out, and the COVID guys, the fact that there's more people that aren't graduating are hurting the guys who are going in the portal without a plan. They're hurting their chances. So you have to sift through some of that. But as we get through this in time, you will see the portal being used as a tool. There will be less high school players taken. There will be more portal guys moving around, especially in the Power 5 era, those conferences, to cherry pick guys who are ready-made players that will fit within a program and within a scheme specifically, and they are already mature. They've already aged. They've already had a couple of years under their belt of college football, basketball, or whatever they play, and it's a plug-and-play situation, and you can win now. You no longer have to wait 3, 4, 5 years to get good, as you've seen with Michigan State football. Mel Tucker was able to turn around a team that won 2 games into 11 games inside of 12 months.
The way that Mel's running this is like an NFL program. Saeed Khalif has a title GM, Director of Player Personnel, and he's treating the signing class as a draft, and he's treating the portal as a NFL free agency. And you're seeing what he's doing. His formula is, plugging the Band-Aids, plugging immediate needs with portal, and then building the organization with the high school draft picks. High school recruits. And so that formula is going to work at Michigan State, and he knows exactly what he's doing. Switching gears before we jump into Mateen, Desmond Howard. We should kind of mention Desmond Howard. Desmond Howard stuck behind that blue wall. Chris Fowler tweets out the colors of Ukraine, the country Ukraine, who, as we all know, has been invaded by Russia. And here's Desmond's response. Go blue. What do we chalk that up to? Do we chalk that up to as Michigan arrogance? Not understanding, world events? Or I don't even know what to tell you. Oh my God. I don't. Jason, do you have thoughts on that?
No thoughts. Those aren't worth my words. To be quite honest, that's. Come on, man.
He deleted the tweet. But Desmond, you know what?
We're talking life and death, literally.
We're talking life and death. We're talking about an invasion of a country. We're showing solidarity with a tweet from Chris Fowler, one of your colleagues, and you're tweeting, go blue. Really? Can you be more tone deaf? Tone deaf's polite. But Desmond, just so you know, Russia invaded Ukraine, and the whole world is showing solidarity with the country of Ukraine. And while you might think it's centered around Ann Arbor and the universe is centered around Ann Arbor, that tweet was actually in reference and showing solidarity with the country of Ukraine. So we just want to clarify that. But when you sent that tweet out, I didn't say anything. I just went. That's all I did. That's all I have for you. On to the next topic.
Can we get Mateen on?
We can, because we have a a legend joining us. One of only two in Michigan State history to win a national championship. The player that Tom Izzo credits with changing the whole trajectory of the program and bringing in Mateen, which brought in the Flintstones and really set this program off and really to the next stratosphere. So when you see 27 years later of Tom Izzo highlights and all his wins and accomplishments, it all started with one guy. And he's joined us today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one of the all-time greats, Mateen Cleaves. How are you, Mateen?
What's up, fellas, man? Hey, with me, man, every day is a good day, man. So life is great, and I'm super excited to be on here with you guys. I mean, I look at both of you just like big brothers, man, my big brothers. So I'm excited to come on the show, man, and talk, just talk it up, baby. Just kick it, man.
Oh, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna kick it. So, give us your take on first on this year's team. What are you feeling?
I mean, to be honest, they've been inconsistent, and I mean, Coach Izzo will say that. But I do think they have the tools to make a push. We tend to like to make a push in March, and I think that the team have the tools to do it. It's just going to have to come together, man. They're going to have to come together and do it together. They don't have an elite talent person, and that's no knock to the kids that's there. They just gonna have to get it done by committee. A few years ago, every now and then you can have some great talent. Miles Bridges and Draymond and also all the great play, even going back to Steve Smith and Sean Resperday. I mean, you had great players that could carry us in a tournament game or two. But I don't think that's it for this team. We're gonna have to get it done by committee, and I think if they buy into that method, then they can make a good push at it in March.
Yeah, Mateen, everybody likes to talk about the point guard play under a Tom Izzo-led team. And that, point guard play, the leadership of a point guard, very important to the success of a team. And when you look at the guys who are playing in the backcourt for Michigan State right now, and I think I've seen you at basketball games, and you can hear yourself. I can hear you yelling as they're coming down the court, telling them what to say. Like what kind of sets, what kind of energy you need to inject in the rest of the team. What is it that you think maybe this team is doing good, or what they are lacking in that area for leadership's sake, as far as a point guard and those kind of is concerned?
Yeah, I like our point guards. I like their ability. I like, they both kind of bring something different to the table. But I could be very critical of point guards, of quarterbacks, because they got to be your leaders. And if your point guard is your best leader or your quarterback is your best leader, then you got a chance to do something special. And if it's anything I think they could get better at, our point guards, is the leadership, is bringing somebody else to the party, not being afraid to offend your friend. It's about, getting wins. And at the end of the day, we need leadership. And our teams at Michigan State have always had success when we had someone step up and take the leadership role. And I think that's something that we definitely need heading here in the heading to the Big Ten tournament.
Again, we're joined by.
What do you think holds guys back? Yeah, what holds guys back from being that guy? Because you were that guy, but you don't see many guys do it. What do you think it is in their mind that holds a guy back?
It ain't easy. Some of us made it look easy, but it ain't as easy. And for me, it was kind of, that's what I was about. I think that was my calling card. That's what made me, especially I think a lot of people forgot, when I came out of high school, I broke my back. So I was never the athlete that I was, coming out of high school. So I know as far as leadership, that had to be my calling card. That was something I was definitely going to bring to the table. So that's something that I took pride in. Whether I made shots, missed shots, played good, played bad. That was my thing, was to lead. And it actually started at home with my mother and father, holding me highly accountable. And then, going to high school and starting as a quarterback on the varsity as a freshman, starting point guard, on a team that was one of the top teams in the state of Michigan, as a freshman. And both of my coaches, my football coach and basketball coach, held me highly accountable as far as leading, and it was an adjustment for me at first because I was having to lead guys that was older than me and guys that I looked up to. But it started with mom and dad. But then when I got, to high school, both of my coaches, football and basketball, that was the thing. They told me if I wasn't going to lead the team, then they were not going to play me.
So, Mateen, obviously you're one of the all-time great leaders because what you've done and the way you change the trajectory of this program is pretty special. Can you teach leadership, or is it ingrained in you?
Oh, man. Well, let me answer, and I'm glad, man, because this is the second time you said that, as far as, I was one of the, people that helped take this program to where it is, because I think sometimes people forget, and when I was being recruited by Michigan State, it wasn't the sexy pick. A lot of, people of my stature, guys that was coming out ranked in the top 10 in the country, wasn't even considering Michigan State back then. And, I was always growing. I always grew up as a Michigan State fan. But, to answer your question, I think it can be taught. I used to be one of those people saying, well, you have to be a born leader. I was taught how to lead. I grew up, I was a very introverted kid. And my mother and father would always tell me, walk with your head up, stick your chest out, speak to people when you see them. So my mother and father kind of helped get me out of that shell. And then once I got to high school, my high school coaches, both football and basketball, really brought it out of me. So I really do think you can be taught. Now, there'll be people that's better than others, and it'll come a little more natural for others. But I do think leadership can be taught.
You hear that, moms and dads? Hold your kids accountable. That's what it's about. Coaches, don't be afraid to coach your players hard, because you can groom next year's leaders, tomorrow's leaders. This is a very important thing. I mean, for somebody like you to say this, Mateen, means everything, I think, to somebody who's watching, somebody who may listen to this in the future that, driving, looking at their iPad or whatever it is. They can hear those words, and it means a lot because you're not necessarily born that way. I totally agree with you there. There's some guys who have more of a ability than others, but man, sometimes it's hard to walk with your chest out and shake people's hands and look them in the eye when you're a kid. I'm dealing with that with my own sons right now. Same thing with, I'm sure you and your own son, Mateen, Brian, you have your son, daughters, everybody. It's something that you have to force and have a committed effort in order to raise a leader in your household. It can be done at home. It doesn't have to be done. You don't have to wait till you get to Tom Izzo in order to be a great leader. Just want that to be out
there. Man. And let me sneak in on that. I'm glad you said that, Stray, because I have a 12-year-old son right now, and I am on him about leadership. And to be honest, skill-wise, my son is better than I was at 12 because I've been kind of grooming him from the day he was born. But as far as leadership and all the intangibles that helped take my career to the next level, I'm really strict on him about that. I have a zero tolerance for feeling sorry for yourself. I don't let that happen, whether it's school, whether it's sports. I have a zero tolerance for that. And I get on my son about, if somebody made a good play on his team and he didn't tell him good shot, or if somebody fall on the ground and he didn't help him up, or if it's a kid that's not as talented, is he doing everything in his power to make sure that they understand what's going on the floor, or is he going out of his way to make them better. I applaud things like that. I applaud when he speaks to people, when he look people in their eye. Those are the things that I applaud, not if he can score 20 or 30 points in the game. I'm not worried about that stuff because sports will be one thing, but when you learn the certain intangibles as far as leadership and integrity and work ethic and a lot of those things that we all have and we learn through our process, those things will help you not only in sports, but they'll help you in life.
You know, you made a comment to me once. You told me about how complicated the Izzo's offense is to learn, and that it takes a point guard 2.5 years to learn. And I don't think most people understand that. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, and once again, let me give credit to my high school coaches because I was very well versed on how to play the game the right way before I even got to Michigan State. And it got enhanced once I got there. But that offense, man, it's different. When I was there, man, we ran so many plays. And as a point guard, it's your job, just like a quarterback on the football field, you have to know where every guy on that court needs to be. Or, where you not only know what you need to do, but you need to know what the 4 other guys on the court need to do. So, and at Michigan State, you're held highly accountable to do so. Coach Izzo, he didn't care that I was a freshman, that I was hurt, coming off a broken back. I never understood why if I passed to a guy and he missed a shot, it was my fault. It took me a while to understand that, but he said you have to know your players. You have to do a better job of knowing who can do what and who can't do this. And that's how I really learned. That's when my leadership level started to really go up a notch because, it's on me to make the people better, So I shouldn't put a guy that can't shoot 3-pointers. I shouldn't throw him the ball with 2 seconds on the shot clock at the 3-point line and expect him to make that shot. I have to do a better job of making the game easier for the people around me. So Coach Izzo, he rode me, man, and he'll ride you. Especially your freshman
really?
year or a point guard. Oh, he rode me, man.
I can't tell. I can't tell.
I think that's why he loved me so much. My freshman year, even he didn't give me no excuses from coming off injuries, and he challenged me big time. But once you pass the test, man, you're good. And even with me, I never took it personal because I was held highly accountable in my household. I was held highly accountable by my high school coaches. So I just knew that was just a sign of somebody showing that they love you and they want the best for you. So that's how I took it.
Yeah, speaking about that right there, and you talk about today's generation and how everybody knows it. The millennials, Generation Y, all this, that they're getting a little, there's no other term for it, softer. And the hard coach, people ask that question like, hey, look, is the hard style of Tom Izzo going to be, good for the game now and as it continues to progress and evolve into the future? What do you think about today's player, the young players, even in my son's age, that 12 to 16-year-old range? What do you think about the makeup psychologically of those guys and girls and the style that Tom Izzo has, and will those ever come together?
You're right. I do think that they can be soft. I do believe that. But I do think it can work. Coach Izzo, he's one of those people, and this one thing people really got to understand. Why do they think kids keep coming to play at Michigan State if he is such a bad guy? Come on. He is actually the best guy, one of the best people you ever meet in your life. And we allow him to hold us accountable because we know he care about us. That's his secret sauce. He genuinely care about us. It's bigger than basketball. And people don't see the times that he have his arm around you when the cameras ain't on, or you can just go in his office and talk to him about anything. So I love the fact that he's continuously holding kids accountable. I think it helped every player that played for him. It helped us, but I think it can work, but it starts at home. I think these parents are really short changing their kids by not holding them accountable. That by blaming everybody else and giving these kids scapegoats, letting them quit if they don't like, if they're not starting, or, what I'm seeing now in AAU is, one father don't think his son is playing enough, so he just go start a whole nother AAU team and let his son take all the shots, or, get all the playing time and just cater to his kid. And I see it, and I just really think it's hurting in the long run. I see it all the time in AAU, and these coaches that's, sometimes coaching just to win trophies instead of coaching these kids and holding them accountable and just trying to train them so when they do get to high school that they're kind of equipped and they're ready to make a run in high school, and they know what's really going on out there. But I think it starts in the household with your parents. But I do think Coach Izzo still is a valuable coach and can continue to be valuable to this new generation. It's other coaches out there that scream and hold their kids accountable, but they don't make so much big of a fuss of it because they're not Tom Izzo. But, hey, listen, he ain't going to change, and we ain't going to let him change. That's what makes Michigan State basketball what it is. That's why he's been to, I think, 27 tournament appearances and, all of the accomplishments he had. It's that. That's why he's so consistent, because he hasn't transformed and tried to do what everybody else is doing. Because what Tom Izzo is doing, that's what makes him great.
It's funny you say that, because I was telling Jason the other day, I don't think the kid has changed as much as the parent. When there was a snow day in school, I used to get beat up for being lazy because I was happy. And now when there's a snow day for my kids, I'm happy for them. And I'm getting them out of stuff. And I'm making excuses for them. My parents never did. Teacher was always right. Coach was always right. And I will argue that it's not as much as the kid as much as it is the parent that is changing. And when you see kids acting more entitled, that starts at home. That absolutely starts at home. But because the parents are changing and because kids expect to be treated differently, it's, because I see all the former players coming back, how much they love Coach. We all love Coach. I see him crying. I see his emotion. I see how much he loves all his former players. I see how loyal he is. You can't teach loyalty. And are we losing that? Are we losing that, and are we making this more transactional? And I think when we see somebody like you come on and we see other players defend Coach after his whatever, that dust up he had with Aaron Henry a couple years ago, all of his former players, like, you're absolutely right. It starts at home. Tell us how much you love Coach Izzo. That's what I want to know. Because I love him too. I love him.
Yeah, man. And like you said, it started at home, man. And my parents, man, I never forget. I would come home from scoring.
God rest your mom's
points.
soul.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That was my baby. I would come home from scoring 25 points on national TV, and she would hug me and make me take the garbage out. It was like, it was things like that kept me grounded, man. And that's why I keep ranting and raving about my mother and father, because before I even got to Michigan State, I was wired a certain way because of them and other great coaches and mentors that I had before I got to Michigan State. But Coach Izzo, man, I love this dude to death, man. I can just remember when to death, man. I remember when he recruited me, and I bought into Coach Izzo. See, and that's why I say people forget, like, back in 1996, Michigan State wasn't the choice, like the sexy choice. People wonder why I even had them in my top 5 schools. They did, but people keep saying, why was it? And true enough, I grew up liking Michigan State, but it was Coach Izzo. I fell in love with Coach Izzo. I fell in love with the person. That's who got me to come to Michigan State, the person who is 10 times better than the coach. And I'm telling you, man, he recruited the heck out of me. I mean, he was at every basketball game, every football game, every football practice, basketball. Every time I looked around, Coach Izzo was there, man. He recruited the heck out of me. So it was hard to tell him no, man. But he meant so much to me in my life. And I get agitated and pissed off when people say certain things about Coach Izzo because they just don't know him. Like, the dude is a 10 times better person than he is a coach.
I
And that's
agree.
saying a lot because he's a heck of a coach. But he meant a lot in my life, man. We took that program, man, and it was two people, and I'm going to say this honestly. It was two people back in 1996 that genuinely and really believed that Michigan State one day would win a national championship. It was two people. It was me and Coach Izzo. Simple. And we rolled together, man. And he challenged me and held me highly accountable, man. But it definitely is what made me who I am today. Not only in sports, but the person I am, and on top of my parents, and able to step outside of basketball and still have success. Yeah, a lot of that was just from my parents and Coach Izzo.
I get goosebumps thinking
Yeah, I
about that.
remember.
Man.
It's awesome. I can remember Mateen being recruited because I was already at Michigan State. I think I'm 2 years ahead of you, and I can remember how serious that recruiting battle for you. Like it really changed the tide of the program in a big way. I mean, everybody, you was ground zero. Flint, we got to get Mateen. The whole world wanted Mateen because you meant that much to the future of basketball. And Tom Izzo was right. He was absolutely right about getting you. Now, I'm going to ask you a tough question about the coach because this is something that, people are talking about. When you look at what's going on in the football program at Michigan State, and Mel Tucker, he's come in and he's embraced this new, not only the transfer portal, the NIL, the name, image, likeness. It's a new age in college athletics. The amateurism is not what it was. It's almost becoming a minor league. It's a professional kind of a league when you think about how Mel Tucker is conducting business, able to go from 2 wins to 11 wins by getting 47 new players on the team overnight, basically. Going into that transfer portal, now name, image, likeness being a part of the game. And I know Coach, in private discussions, has been and public, has been very resistant to that. Do you think there's any way for Tom Izzo to embrace this new culture, or will he stay the same Tom Izzo that he was? This is one thing that I know. He always, every time I see him, he says, man, Nick Saban's my guy. He always talks about Nick Saban. And the one thing about Nick that he's been able to do, now he's a tough ass coach. Nick was tough. He has been able to adapt.
Yes.
He has been able to adapt over time and change his offensive, defensive philosophy. He's been able to embrace the new culture of transfer portal and the NIL like no other. And this is a guy who just turned 70 years old on Halloween. So he's not a spring chicken. And he's still winning. Do you think this is something that can be done with Coach Izzo, or is he going to be stuck in his ways?
Nah, I think he'll adapt. And he'll be open and honest. Certain things he don't like, but he understands, to stay even the playing field, he's going to have to adapt. And, he's done that. There was times where he wouldn't recruit the one-and-done type players. He went after Miles Bridges. He went after Jaren Jackson. A few other guys. Like, he'll adapt. He's old school. And he got to keep a little bit of that. But I think he understands that the game is changing. And the rules are changing. And to stay afloat and to continue to compete with some of these other top programs, he's going to have to adapt. So he's smart enough. And that's one thing about Coach Izzo. Even if he don't like it, I remember he hated Twitter and, all those social media platforms.
Mateen, you got to put his arm around him. You got to, sit him down.
Yeah, we're going to ask you.
Come on, man. We got to have a meeting.
Nobody
we got
can do it but you.
NIL. We got portal. We got social media. Hey, Coach, come on, man. Come on, brother. You got to adapt or die. He's got to do that.
Yeah.
Come on, we got to take more than one in the portal. Shit's change. You got to, put your arm around him and sit him down and say, Coach, we're going to bring home that second natty. It's going to change around here. NIL, portal, social media, this new generation of kid. It's over.
Social media, that's dead. I don't think.
It's over. We're gonna get him. You're gonna get him a Twitter handle. We're gonna get him on IG, and we're gonna get him involved because
like monitor that himself.
He's got a dad. I got one more question for you, Mateen.
Okay.
Matt Ishbia is a brother, and he's family to all of us. Sources who speak on the condition of anonymity, who do not want to reveal themselves, says every day he's becoming more and more like Tom Izzo. Is that true?
No, you know what, Matt? Man, Matt, it's funny. Matt is smart. It's brilliant, first of all. And
we know that. He's got a couple B's. He's got a couple zeros behind his name. We know
100%,
that.
man. And he's taking, I think, a piece of, every good leader that he's respected. He's taken a little piece of that and kind of implemented it in how he does things, man. He talked to me all the time about, even some of the ways that I help impact him, and always talks about Coach Izzo. So we have me and him, we have open conversations, and we talk about some of the good with Coach, some of the bad, or whatever it is, our opinions or whatever. But he has his Coach Izzo's days. You know what I mean? He definitely has those days, but. Once again, everybody knows he care about us. He care about everyone, and he takes care of every last one. We got almost 9,000 people, man. He care about them and love them and would give him the shirt off his back, and we all know that. So, and everybody, that works with Matt will all run through a brick wall for him because it's the person he is.
You didn't answer my question.
But he does have them Coach Izzo days, though.
Okay, so he's becoming more like Izzo. You can confirm. Yes?
Yes, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That means you're a winner, baby.
It is a winner.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
We appreciate you joining us, brother. Love you, man. Congrats.
Yeah.
We're happy for you. You just need to get in that locker room and get them young men going. And we appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Mateen Cleaves, 17-time All-American, first-round draft pick, hung 7 banners when he was at Michigan State, and really the architect of the trajectory of the program. So, Mateen, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. God bless. Good night, and go green.
Appreciate you. Go green, go white. Appreciate you guys. Love you, big brothers.
Love you, brother.
Don't let them forget. I appreciate y'all. Don't let them forget, baby.
No, we love you, man. That's awesome. Take care, man. I'll see you. Ladies and gentlemen, Mateen Cleaves join us. I think we're done. Well, I tell you, he's got the $1 million personality, doesn't he? His personality? I got this echo in my ear. It's killing me. He's got $1 million personality. Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, love him. Love Mateen. I mean, those stories are great. I mean, leadership's built at home with mom and dad. Mom and dad can help. I'm telling you, you're serious. It was great to hear him. That was unscripted.
He didn't get into the choking at practice, which we won't talk about. Those are other stuff. Not going to say involved Coach Izzo.
Who's choked?
No, nobody.
Oh, that Bobby Knight.
We'll have no further comment on but it's not Tom Izzo. Not at all. Ladies and gentlemen.
Bobby Knight.
Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you joining us on Inside the Locker Room. I am your co-host, Brian Mosallam, along with my co-host, Jason Strayhorn. Thank you, everybody. Good night, and go green.
He stumped him. He stumped him. He stumped him. Nice block. Wow. Great penetration. Surge through the middle of that. Michigan State first and goal. Touchdown. Yeah. Outstanding.